Hi guys, Martin speaking, and welcome to this video. This is the first in a new series of videos that I asked if you were interested in, and you said yes, so I've done them. And lots of interesting ideas came in for names, a lot of Star Wars related ones. Must say something about me. And initially I was saying about doing it on Wednesdays. I've since rethought, and although it's Wednesday today, it's most likely actually going to be a Tuesday, especially if I'm going to do it as a live thing. It'll be on a Tuesday evening. So I had all sorts of Tuesday's Child, Tuesday's Chat, things like that. And then Ask Martin. It's as simple as it's going to be. Ask Martin, a Q&A with me, stripped bare, unplugged. It's as raw as it gets. Honesty is going to be the key to it. So each week you can fire in questions through the comments of the current video, and I'll answer them the week after, as I'm going to today. If I set it up as a live thing, then you can join in on the Hangout, or you can ask questions live on the Hangout. Plus, obviously, I'll still have questions from the videos. And who knows, if it gets a little bit popular, if people are into it, then I might even start inviting some guests on to the Q&A, because eventually you're going to run out of questions to ask me. So we'll start asking some other people similar things. I'll get them involved in a Hangout. And the questions, guys, as I've said, can be anything. You'll see when I go through these questions, there is hobby-related ones and non-hobby related ones. You can ask me anything from personal questions to techniques to setups to whatever you want. And I'll answer them as honestly as I absolutely can. If I really don't want to answer something, then you know what I'm like. I'll just say to you, no. So let's crack on with it. Normally I think I'm probably going to have a cup of coffee here, but I've just got back from my dinner, so I'm going to do a bit of product placement. And McDonald's, I'm loving it. So all drink McDonald's. It's really good for you. It won't make you fat, regardless of what Jamie Oliver and anybody else in the world says. Let's do it. McDonald's, if you're watching, I obviously want payment for this product placement. But no, joking aside, chocolate milkshake, love it. Right, so the very first question was actually not in the Ask Me a Question section. It was from the one where I suggested doing it, and it was Sergeant Oddballs, which is Brian to me. And he asked, what's my favourite Star Wars character and why? And do I follow the Rebel Alliance or the Imperial Forces? Very simply, it's the Imperial Forces, always will be. I like the Rebel Alliance. I like a lot of... I think X-Wings are fantastic. The Millennium Falcon, who doesn't like it? But I think I might have touched on it on an earlier video. Growing up as a child, I was the younger brother. So therefore, I pretty much got dictated to what I collected by what he wanted to collect. And Star Wars was my first real set of collection figures, if you like. I was only very, very, very small. So he was collecting the Rebels, and I collected the Imperial Forces. I remember my dad getting me for Christmas an AT-AT. Lee got the Millennium Falcon, I got the AT-AT, and my mum and dad weren't together when we were young, and as a result didn't get on very well. So we had to sit in the porch, and my dad gave us all our Christmas presents, and I just remember opening this AT-AT and just... it was just mind-blowing. That will have been 1983, 1984 maybe. I was born in 79, so I will have been 4.5. And I remember it clear as anything, sitting with my dad, got this thing, and then there was a Darth Vader, a big Darth Vader head, which opened up and it held lots of figures inside. And it was full of figures and weapons. Now, I didn't realise that the figures and weapons that were in there, they'd been bought second-hand. What did it matter to me? I was a kid. I got more figures than I would have got if they were all brand new on the cards. The AT-AT was new, and it just took over my life. Star Wars at that point became massive to me, and I always went down that route then with the forces of evil. So when I then went into Transformers, it was Decepticons. Mask, it was Venom. Action Force, it was Cobra. He-Man, it was Skeletor and his minions. It was always the baddies that I collected, and I've always had a soft spot for them, even running through to my 40k and my fantasy stuff. It's all the same. So that answers the Force question. Favourite character's got to be the Scout Trooper for me. I just think they're amazing. There are lots of cool individual characters. I think Han Solo, the way Harrison Ford plays him is just the charisma from the guy is fantastic. But for the whole set of movies, the Scout Trooper on the speeder bikes, hence why I did it for my Star Wars Hammer competition, I just love them. I think they just look a little bit better than standard Stormtroopers. They probably still can't hit anything. They only hit on sixes. But they're so iconic to me. I just love the look of them over anything else. So hopefully that answers that one for you, Brian. Ali Brown, one of my newest subscribers, who I found out actually entered a painting competition back in the day when I was first into the hobby, through the Liverpool store, from what I'm gathering lives over Yorkshire, Harrogate way now. How many hours approximately per week do you spend painting miniatures? Do you feel you spend too little time on the hobby, or do you feel you spend too much time on it? Just as well my wife's not sat next to me, because she would say I spend too much time on it, I spend too much money on it, and it's consumed my life. She's probably right, but in my mind, I don't spend enough time doing it. I look at the work that I've got to do, and there aren't enough hours to do it, and there are always other things, whether it be working, decorating nurseries, spending time with the family, or whatever it might be. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, oh yeah, but I could just finish this off, or I could just start that. That it never stops up here. Physical time on it, I would guess it's somewhere 1 hour to 2 hours a day, but spread over a week. Like some nights I might do 4 or 5 hours in one night, but then I might not touch it the next day. So you're probably looking at 10-15 hours a week, which I don't think is a massive amount of time. It used to be more like 5-6 hours a day. I've cut it back massively because it was starting to impact on my personal life, and you've got to make sure you keep that balance, otherwise you end up single very quick, I would imagine. Dominic Gibson, would you consider getting a Harlequin Force? No. I love them. I love the fluff on them. They've appeared in a couple of the Eldar books that I've read, and somewhere in the back of my mind, scratching away at me, get the Harlequins, get the Harlequins, get the Harlequins. No, I won't even read the codex. You look behind me, I've got every codex that's been released, main codex, don't do all the supplements necessarily. And I've not bought the Harlequin one because I know that the minute I read it, I'm going to end up buying them to put with my Dark Eldar or my Eldar, and I just haven't got the space or the time or the inclination to be starting a Harlequin Force, and I'd go balls out on it. So that's why not. I want to, but I'm too scared to. Neil Runham, your preference, playing or painting? Also, how much into the fluff are you? Playing or painting is dead simple. Playing. I don't like painting miniatures. Bit weird maybe for somebody who offers a commission service. I can paint to a decent standard. I don't think I'm as good as some of the guys out there, but I don't enjoy doing it. And for that reason, some people have come to me with a commission and they've said, oh, will you paint this army? And I've said to them, yes, I'd do it, but it's going to cost you X, and I've made the price really expensive because I don't want the work. I'm only going to paint something for somebody else if I am going to get enjoyment. So the likes of that Slanesh Imperial Knight, I had a blast doing that, really loved that one. If it's something I like the conversion that I've done on, and I can see a colour scheme work, and then yeah, I enjoy painting it. Generally speaking, I don't like it. For me, the hobby breaks down into 4 sections. There's building and converting, there's painting, there's playing, and there's collecting. I like the building converting first, then I like playing, then I like collecting, then I like painting. And how much into the fluff are you? Very. I haven't read every bit of literature on every single army in 40k. I've got a basic understanding of the armies that I don't collect and a decent understanding of the armies that I do. But I love the Horus Heresy novels. I've read the 30 novels to date, and I think I've read 22, 23 of them. The others are sat there waiting to be read. They're all on bookshelves there. I just haven't got round to reading them all yet. And I love the setting of that. it determines everything that's happening in our 40k universe is all determined by what happened back when the Horus Heresy took place. I generally read through the fluff in the Codex if I'm interested in the army. And when I build an army, I try to build it around a fluff perspective. That's not to say that I don't build a competitive list. I get accused just as easily as anybody else of building a cheesy list because I take an all bike army for my White Scars. To me, that's not a cheesy list. That is just playing to the fluff. The White Scars take bikes, so therefore everybody's on a bike. Yes, I've got heavy support, but my White Scars army comes directly from a novel, so therefore it must be fluffy. My Eldar is very jet bike heavy, but that's because in my mind, from a fluff point of view, when the warp opens, the first thing that happens is that the raider party comes flying out of the webway, decimates everything that it can. Then the covens and like all the homunculus and everything, they all sort of come out slowly afterwards and go taking the souls back to Comera to give to Slanesh. So I wrote a bike list because it just made sense to me. When I've then written the list, I then kit it up to be as heavy as I can so that it is going to be competitive. But again, my White Scars, I could have put grav guns on all my White Scars because they're good. But I don't rock a single grav gun in my army because in the fluff from Hunt for Valdorius, where I got that army from, there's no mention of grav weapons because it hadn't been invented at that point in Games Workshop's mind. So I didn't bother with it. Hope that answers that one. Gotham Am Service. Question. What edition of 40k do you think best sums up the feel of 40k universe, i.e. the artwork, fluff, imagery, stories, etc.? I don't know is the honest answer because my as I've just said, my fluff's mainly based around 30k. So 30k, obviously all the heresy stuff, that builds up that, which creates the fluff for the newer stuff. I played 2nd edition. I came back into it on the dawn of 6th edition. So I've only got those now. I've looked back through previous rule books and everything because the collector in me goes back. And I tend to find that the newer rule books use all the artwork from the older ones and they've rehashed the fluff. I think 7th edition, when you look through that set of 3 books, if you buy the main hardback rule book, you get the other 2 books, you get one which is all about the fluff, and I think it's bang on the money for it. And then the artwork in the other books is absolutely fantastic. It really can get the creative mind going. When somebody asks me to do a commission, I go straight to those 2 books first, and then I'll start looking through anywhere else I have to try and find imagery. Because once I can see something, I can start growing pictures in my mind. It's a bit of an evasive answer, that, I'm afraid. But yeah, I'd probably say 7th edition. The rules fit the fluff as well because it is chaotic. It's the 41st millennium. The heresies happened and died down, and it's every man for himself. So yes, you would get people unbound and allying with people that they wouldn't normally ally, and get people stabbing them in the back. So yeah, 7th edition, I'm going to have to say it. Seems like a cop-out though. The Morgue. You get a phone call from I remember this one. You get a phone call from Games Workshop PLC. They need a new CEO and I've shortlisted you for the job. Quite right. What is the vision for the company you would talk the board through at your final interview? Right, so I'd make the bigger models bigger. I'd make all the blister packs half the size but charge more, and I'd give a 10-20% price increase across the board, and I wouldn't listen to what anybody beneath me's got to say. Only joking. I'm not Tom Kirby. But what would I do? Not a massive amount different to what they're currently doing. I think this new CEO is going to be good for GW. He's not going to sit there and listen to all the fans because it's pointless. If you start going onto the forums, I did a big half-hour rant on it, so I'm not going to do it all over again. But if you go onto all the forums, you'll just come out negged out because it's a load of people who don't know how to run a business, who are trying to say how business should be run, and you can't listen to all the fans because yes, you might get the majority of them asking for one thing, but then you're going to upset other people. And if you just keep going with the majority, eventually that majority gets smaller, so you can't do it. So what would I do? I would keep Forge World and GW separate. I would try my hardest to get Forge World to start casting in plastic, because I think the detail is achievable now. I don't think those 30k Primarchs, the detail on them is tremendous, but I don't think they're any better detailed because they're in resin than what some of the new say Space Marine characters or the Harlequins or whatever, for example, are in plastic. So I would potentially do that, which would look then to reduce postage costs and things. I would give more back to the customers. I would introduce a customer loyalty. That would be one of my big things to do. And by doing that, I just mean whether it be the competition that they're running at the moment, where you find the golden ticket, you win your height, Space Marines height in boxes. That's fantastic. They are making so many sales as a result of it, direct through their web store. What else would I do at my interview level? What would I say? Because it's difficult, because an interview, you sell yourself for the job, and then when you get the job, you actually do the job. So you have to tell people what they want to hear, then do things that they don't like. Because a CEO, your job is to do things that people don't like. Because if you're just pleasing everyone all the time, then you're going to be stagnant. I'd close all the stores. That's what I'd do. And I think that's where GW are going anyway. I'd close all the one-man stores. And I'd have more support for independent retailers to stock my products. So I'd still have my web store, which would be worldwide. I'd still have web exclusives. I'd still have limited edition runs and etc. But by closing all the one-man stores, the money that would be saved and could be put into the company is phenomenal. I genuinely believe that that's what's happening anyway. I think that as the leases run out, they're going to start closing these shops down, and they'll just have key flagship stores. So in the big cities, like so Liverpool, I can't see that shop ever closing. It's a three-man shop anyway. It's a big shop. It's in a city centre. The same as Manchester's a huge shop. Not necessarily in square footage, but it's just a big presence. So I'd keep the big flagship stores open, but all the little one-man stores, I'd close them upon the arrival of a decent hobby shop. But I don't want to elaborate further on that, because the hobby shop's very, very much something that's it's close to here at the moment. And I'm sure it'll come up in another video. So hopefully that answers your question, Morg. Wargaming Sean. What do you think about unicorns and Pegasi breeding? Lol. You said ask anything. Well, I think if we were to get Pegacorns, because that's what I've decided they're going to be called, Pegicorns, why not? If you think that if we use the crude expression of rarer than unicorns poop, then imagine how rare unicorn poo is and how rare Pegasus poo is. Imagine if we crossbreeded and made a Pegicorn. Wow, that thing's just going to be worth fortunes. So yeah, let's do it. I've got the Pegasus. If you've got the unicorn, mate, we can make this happen. Jim White, do you affiliate with a specific political party? Now that's an interesting one. The simple answer is no. I'm the party of Martin. I grew up in Liverpool, where obviously I still live, and I grew up very, very much influenced from Labour's policies. I grew up in a conservative era. Margaret Thatcher came in not long after, about 2 years after I was born, I think it was. She took my milk and made a lot of changes and arguably ruined the country. Then Labour came in for a long time. 1994, Labour came in for a long time and didn't really make the country any better. What they did was let the little man make money. My dad made his millions under a Labour government, so they must have been good. But they also did a lot of things wrong. I then look at what happened 4 years ago, the coalition, and I still can't get my head around that. Lib Dems, well, we're just not going to go there. And I look that in May I've got to cast my vote. I've never ever voted before because I don't believe in any of them enough to vote in. I am more conservative in my nature now than I ever have been, but that doesn't mean that I like all their policies. I can understand a lot of them, and I can agree with a lot of them, especially when we get into things like immigration and benefits and taxes. But ultimately, they're there for the fat cats, and that doesn't sit well with me. Labour, on the other hand, I think just spout lies. They want all the working men to believe that that's who they're there for, but I don't think they are. And Ed Miliband is not the man to be running the group. If Dave Miliband was still in charge, possibly, I think he's got a bit more charisma about him. Lib Dems, I don't think, figure in anybody's mind anymore after the coalition. And the potential shocker from a political point of view, and I don't want to make this into a big political broadcast, is UKIP. Now, if you say that you're going to vote UKIP, you are instantly branded a racist. I don't class myself as a racist. I've got friends of every ethnicity, however you pronounce that word. But I do have a problem with immigration, both from inside the EU and outside the EU. Our country's overcrowded, and these people are coming in taking benefits that I don't believe they're entitled to. And again, it very quickly becomes a political topic. If you want Martin's political views, then I could do a whole video on it. I don't agree with the welfare system. Fact. Because it's not helping the people it should help. The people that it's trying to help aren't getting enough out of it, and the people who shouldn't be getting anything are finding it too easy to be on it, so therefore just take from it. And I think the country is in a terrible state because we are breeding a welfare generation. There are people that I know and their children have got no aspiration of doing anything from school other than having families just because they know that they can make enough money off the state. That's not a good way to live. I was out of work last year. I didn't get any help whatsoever because my wife earned too much money, and because when I was self-employed, I wasn't paying the right class of national insurance, so therefore I wasn't entitled to any job seekers allowance. So I got nothing, whilst the drug dealer around the corner, who's got the best of everything in his house, is getting all these benefits and has got no intention of working. So I don't affiliate with any party. I don't think UKIP's the answer either, by the way. I think they've got a strong chance of getting in this election, and if they do, I think they're going to shake the country up massively. Maybe that's what it needs. Conservatives couldn't do it. Labour couldn't do it. Maybe UKIP coming in and literally radicalising everything. There will be so much upset. We'll probably have a civil war. But maybe we're too stagnant. Maybe we need that shake-up. I don't know. Am I going to vote in May? Probably not, because I still don't trust any of the parties. Maybe I'm Montgomery Brewster from the 80s film Brewster's Millions. Vote none of the above. And you should all vote for me, and I'll become Prime Minister. And we'll take it from there. I don't know. Difficult one. And I've waffled a little bit there. Sorry. Right, so Mike Bren curious and I can normally say it now, and I'm not even going to carry on. Answer me these questions 3. What is your name? What is your quest? What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Now, Wargamer Sean beat me to it. My reply on this video is going to be, would that be an African or a European swallow? Obviously, that comes straight from Monty Python, The Holy Grail, one of my favourite films. Hilarious. So we'll move on from that one, Mike, to your actual question, which was, how does your wife feel about your various interests, 40k, Lego, etc.? 40k, or my miniature, my wargaming hobby, is little plastic fighty men. She hates them, passionately hates them. Like actually passionately hates them. We don't talk about it. She sees the mess all the time that's out, and she doesn't moan about it, but I know she hates it, and I don't talk about it. If ever I make the mistake of turning around and going, oh, I've just finished this, what do you think? The look on her face tells me to stop at that point. Lego, on the other hand, she loves. She just behind us there, I've got the Lego Mini Cooper that I've just bought for her. That's hers to build up. And I have my Star Wars Lego. The problem with the Lego is she knows how much it costs. So therefore, I can't just go out buying Star Wars Lego for myself, because when I come home with a £300 kit, she knows I spent £300. With the Warhammer, Somehow she doesn't know how much it costs. Because she hates it that much, she's being convinced by me that things aren't as expensive as they are, or you guys in the community just keep sending me all this stuff because you really like me. I trade stuff with everybody. She has no idea what I've spent, and let's keep it that way. As a benchmark for that, my Reaver Titan, because I was at Throne of Skulls and I was in Warhammer World, it was an event incentive where you got discounted, and I got my Reaver Titan for £180. She went through the roof at the thought that I'd spend £180. Let's hope and pray she never finds out the real cost, because it was a hell of a lot more. The Toxic Storm. I would call it Wednesday Q&A. My question: what would you suggest as a first set to paint? Right. What would I suggest as a first step for you to paint? The starter set's never a bad place to go, because you get some basic models in there which are pretty well detailed, and it doesn't matter if you mess them up. So if you're looking to buy something just to paint, then don't buy Dark Vengeance. But if you're going to get into the game, I would always suggest getting, for 40k, get Dark Vengeance. For fantasy, at the moment it's Islands of Blood, but I wouldn't suggest anyone buys that. Wait for 2 months. By buying Dark Vengeance, you're getting everything you need to start with the hobby, rulebook and stuff like that, and you're getting 2 small forces. Space Marines are really simple to paint at a basic level. They're difficult when you try to get technical with them. But for practicing thinning your paints down and getting decent even layers of paint, Space Marines are fantastic, and you can get plenty of them with it. Cultists, you can just have fun with a variety of colours. You don't have to paint them all grim and dark. And then obviously you've got your Chaos Marines, who on the box are red. They don't have to be. You don't have to paint them in those colours. You do whatever you want with them. But I think for £65, I think it costs now, you're getting an awful lot of variants of things to paint, and you're even getting a Hellbrute in there, so you're getting to paint some armour as well as some vehicle. So yeah, I suppose Dark Vengeance is the answer, I would say, for that. If you don't want to invest that heavily, then whichever army grabs the look of you, get them and paint them. Don't be scared of painting something and not be able to do a good job on it. The only way you're ever going to get better at painting is having a go at it. I think it was Darby Conway was saying about he's scared to paint his Harlequins, and I understand that completely. But the only way he's ever going to get good at painting Harlequins is by starting to paint Harlequins. It will push his painting to the next level, and each time you paint something, you'll get better. That's my advice anyway. Planet Bet Rep. You can call it the Oracle has spoken. Brilliant. No question. Hecatrix Witch, no question. As I said in the last video, yeah, I'm gonna get to what you suggested. Untka, Sven, my friend over in Belgium. How did the Star Wars interest passion start? I think I might have kind of covered that actually. It was back in 1983, 1984 when I got the figures and I then watched the films. I used to have on video, VHS, with the little tab cut out of it so you couldn't record over it. I had each of the films recorded, and it used to come across the bottom of the screen, Christmas Careline, phone 08, and whatever the number was, and you knew that it was Christmas because Star Wars was on. So you'd record them off the TV, and then you just play them until the tape broke. And I've always loved sci-fi, but over sci-fi I've always loved mythology. Sort of growing up with Jason and the Argonauts and Krull and Legend and things like that, the likes of unicorns, Pegasus, dragons and ogres and goblins, Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit when I was about 6 years old and loved it. And then when I was a bit older, read Lord of the Rings. And I think Star Wars lends itself to both. Whereas, say, Star Trek, for example, I like Star Trek, the original series. I watched that a lot as a child. Never spent the time to get into Lieutenant Picard and Deep Space Nine and all those. I just, not that I don't like them, I've just never given them a chance. But Star Trek was very, very much science fiction. Whereas I think Star Wars was science fiction, but blended very well with certain mythology as well, or mythological settings. And it just captured my mind. I used to love knights and castles and everything when I was a kid as well. I've always been into that, so it's natural for me to have come to this hobby, I suppose. Terrain Director Craig, what was the first Games Workshop model miniature you ever bought, and how long have you been in the hobby? Well, as I've kind of just 1990, I think the year was. Yeah, so about 1990, I was 10, 11, playing Hero Quest and Space Crusade, and then I went into Games Workshop with my stepfather at the time, and they didn't sell Hero Quest in Games Workshop, but they did sell Advanced Hero Quest. At the point that somebody told me that there was an advanced version of the game, me being an arrogant little 10-year-old didn't want to play this silly little game anymore. I wanted the advanced one, so I bought it, or my stepfather bought it, and I sort of kind of got into it from there. I also got bought a box of, I think there was a sprue of each race, so there was like an orc sprue, a dwarf sprue, a high elf sprue, a dark elf sprue, Skaven, different sprues, like an army box basically, and I think you got enough to make 10 in each. I've still got them upstairs. I've got a lot of my old stuff. My ex-wife lost, so she says, a lot of my old stuff. There's thousands and thousands of points of Skaven went missing somewhere. I think I've only got 2 or 3 models left. So yeah, that was it. So got into it in 1990, came back out of it in about 94, 95, at the point where sex, drugs and rock and roll took over. I was playing a lot of guitar at the time, was knocking about in, I won't really call it a band, but I was jamming a lot with my mates, drinking a lot of Jack Daniels, yes, at 14, 15, drinking an awful lot of Jack Daniels and smoking an awful lot of funny cigarettes, which did weird things to you, and getting as much female attention and action as I possibly could, because that's what you do in your teens. So I didn't have space for silly war games, and then I got back into it literally as 6th edition came out, which is a story all on its own, which maybe that can be used in another video. It's a poignant story. But as for the first miniature that I ever bought, I suppose you'd have to say it was the Advanced Hero Quest, but actually I was given some miniatures. Now, I thought when I was setting myself up to do this video, I thought I'd got the first Space Marine I ever painted out, and I haven't. I've got a different one out. It's still a very early Space Marine that I painted, but he's not the right one. But somebody gave me a couple of lead miniatures to use with my Hero Quest, or Advanced Hero Quest. So here we've got those miniatures that I painted. These were painted by me when I was 10 years old, maybe 11. I don't know how well it's going to focus, but I will do a video on my old minis. Anyway, I'm going to do a retro game video. And that's a Minotaur. And then there is my favourite one, which, to be fair, he's got bits of metal, he's missing his shield, there's all sorts gone wrong with him over the years. But he's my little berserker. Say I don't know whether this is focusing or not because I can't see the camera, but I just love that. The old Goblin Green bases, because that's what you used to do. And the first one that I painted out of that set, where I said where you got the different sprues, was a dwarf who I put lots and lots of different efforts into, and he used different paints, GW paints, Airfix paints, enamel paint. There was all sorts went into this model. Free-handed a banner, which I look at it now and it's not good, but for a 10-year-old it was fantastic. And I entered him into Golden Demon 1991, and that's the guy. So let's see, I don't know whether that's really gonna give you any detail. Again, I'll just say I'll do a video on these maybe one day. But yeah, they're my first miniatures. Ian, Martin Shoutback, or Ask and Run. Also, yeah, their names for the channel. When did the hobby first attract your attention, and what specific model kit was the inspiration? Kind of just answered that with Craig's question, I suppose. It attracted me attention from a Games Workshop point of view was 1990. I'd probably been playing Hero Quest and Space Crusade since probably 88, 89 maybe. And Warhammer Fantasy just really, when that box set came out with the goblins and the high elves, it just blew me away there. Literally, it was just everything that I liked. So it was all fantasy realm stuff. I saw the Rogue Trader stuff and I had no interest in it. Like Space Marines, what are they? The big silly guns. How hard's that to play? You just shoot from one side of the table to the other. Oh, you're dead. That was my opinion of what is now 40k. I suppose it could still stand, but I got massively into it. And then what we call second edition 40k, which in my opinion should still be called first edition because Rogue Trader was a different game, came out, and I jumped heavily into 40k and dropped fantasy, to be fair. The roles have come back that way. I'm back into 40k now, and I'm only just stepping my toe back into fantasy. Mammoth Painting Studio, what would you like to see in the new edition of fantasy regardless of the rumour mill? I can't answer it, mate. I don't know what's good or what's bad about the game, so I can say to you, oh yeah, I'm collecting night goblins. But I don't know what's good about that. I've read the rules, but I don't know until I've played some games of 8th edition what I think, actually I dropped that, or no, it needs this. I don't know. So that's why 9th is pretty much a breath of fresh air to me. I'm going to play some 8th edition games regardless of 9th coming out. But sorry mate, I can't really answer the question. Bit of a cop out, that one. Mega Timho, we've got 6 questions, that's fine. He says he asks these to everybody, so now it's my turn. What's the favourite hobby tool non-brush? By non-brush, we're going to say that the airbrush is a brush, so therefore I can't say my airbrush is my favourite tool. In which case, I would say probably my Dremel. Not my most used tool. My most used tool would probably be my craft knife. But the Dremel I use for so many different things, and without it I wouldn't be able to achieve some of the effects that I've achieved, especially on my chaos stuff. And definitely if you're going to buy Forge World products, having some sort of Dremel helps, especially when it comes to sanding down. As long as you've got a mask to put over your face so that you don't get all the resin dust, because it really is dangerous. A Dremel just gets rid of all those gate lines and stuff. What are your favourite kind of brushes? Windsor and Newton. I buy them from eBay. I bought them from eBay. I've only ever had to buy one box, and they're the ones that I've just given out in the competition. I think they're without doubt the best brushes in the industry for what we do. What's your preferred paints? Top 2 brands, wash, weathering powder, etc. Vallejo Air, that's all I run through my airbrush. And that's Model Air, Game Air, and I've got, I think in total there's 170 different paints, and I think I've probably got 120, 130 of them. I can't fathom in my mind why I would need 34 different shades of green, but there are something like 34 shades of green available across the 2 ranges, and they're the ones that I haven't duplicated in the browns. Being colourblind, the greens and browns really just don't work for me in that sense. GW for washes. GW is my second brand, actually, to be fair. I think their base coats are brilliant. They cover over everything. Avalon Sunset goes straight over black. There's no need to build 3 layers of yellow up. So for that, it's fantastic. Their washes are brilliant. If I'm doing panel lines on a vehicle, or if I'm washing a miniature after I've airbrushed them, then I'll make my own wash, but that's just because I need the capillary action to work better than what the GW does. So I thin it down a lot with tapes, odourless tapes. And weather and powders, I've only ever used Forge Worlds, and I'm not saying that they're the best ones out there, but they work for me. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've never tried anyone else's. I'm happy with what I'm using. So that does that bit. What do you listen to while hobbying? Sometimes YouTube videos, but I tend to end up watching them, so I don't do any hobby work. Sometimes Hangouts, But again, I end up looking at the people that I'm talking to, so I don't do hobby. So I'll put digital radio on and I listen to Absolute Classic Rock, which is a UK digital radio channel, because that's my music. It's what I like. I think a lot of this modern music's crap. All this X Factor stuff, the manufactured pop and everything, I can listen to it. I have it on the radio in the taxi because it's what my customers want to listen to. But I'm not interested in it. I like proper rock music, and there is some good current rock, but you just can't beat like the 60s, 70s, 80s rock. Just does it for me. Occasionally I'll put an album on, but it's normally the radio. What's your favourite type of tea? I don't really drink tea. If I do drink tea, it's green tea and cranberry. But I don't normally just drink normal tea. I do have some. I think it's the supermarket's own brand at the moment, like Tesco own brand tea bags. It's for guests. I drink coffee. So to answer it from a coffee point of view, I drink decaffeinated coffee because if I have too much caffeine, I get headaches. So I drink decaffeinated coffee, and I drink Carte Noire. I think is the correct pronunciation. It's a very dark, velvety coffee, and I love it. I drink too much of it. Other than today, when we're having our spectacular McDonald's milkshake. Just a bit more advertising. Don't forget McDonald's, send the money to me. I'm an idiot. Since breakfast is the best meal of the day, what would your perfect breakfast be? Oh, if I was allowed, I'd have this every day. 2 sausage, 2 bacon, 2 fried egg. Black pudding. Heinz baked beans. Hash brown. 2 slices of buttered toast, like big thick buttered toast, and HP sauce all over the top of it. Proper full English breakfast. People would argue with me there and say, well, that's not full English because it's not got fried tomato. You can keep your fried tomato. Does nothing for me. It's not got fried bread. Well, that's a French thing, so I'm not interested in fried bread. Not against the French, I just don't like fried bread. And then mushrooms. It seems to split people, mushrooms. Well, my opinion on mushrooms is they are the spawn of the devil. Do not like mushrooms. They squidge in my mouth and they're just horrible. So yeah, you can keep your mushrooms and I'll swap it for an extra piece of bacon, please. Who drives on the correct side of the road, English or everyone else? This seems to get a rise out of you Brits. For me to rise, that would insinuate that maybe I felt inferior, when we know that us Brits are much superior to you Canadians. No, I'm only messing, mate. I couldn't give a rat's ass. I've grown up driving on the left, so it's how I know, and it seems weird to me when people drive on the other side of the road. But when I go to Europe, and I used to go to Germany quite a lot for work with Audi, and I drove on the right hand side of the road, it didn't bother me. Other than one time, actually. There's one time at Bandcamp. I was in France. I was on my honeymoon with my ex-wife. We were in Paris, and we were driving out of Paris. I was in an Audi A4 Cabriolet, and the roof was up because all our luggage was in the boot. So I mean, the right hand seat of a car driving on the right hand side of the roads that I don't particularly know. I've got no visibility out of the car because I'm in a cabriolet with the roof up, and I come to the Arc de Triomphe. Wow, that's the most scariest driving incident I've ever had. Luckily I was in an automatic, so I didn't then have to think about changing gear, and there was, if memory recalls, there's about 5 or 6 lanes of traffic around the Arc de Triomphe. And I remember my ex-wife turning around to me and saying, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm just going to close my eyes and put my foot down and hope for the best." And literally, I didn't close my eyes, but I just put my foot down. When the lights went green, put my foot down and just went straight across the roundabout. Came off a junction too soon. And everybody else wasn't bothered. No beeping, no horns. They just all moved around me as if it's every day to them. Sat-nav then tried to bring me back around to the Arc de Triomphe. I drove probably about 40 minutes out of my way to avoid going back onto that. I drive for a living now, but I've always driven all over the place, and I've never been so anxious, so scared of driving as I was around the Arc de Triomphe. I'll never do it again. And that's it for your questions, mate. Darby Conway, what was your favourite board game as a kid? Monopoly. It's got to be Monopoly. I played lots of games. Here's some retro games for you guys who are in your 30s and from the UK, definitely. These might have been over in America as well, I really don't know, and Australia and Canada places. Mousetrap, Game of Life, Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, Ghost Castle, Risk, played a lot of Risk actually, obviously Scrabble and things like that. But as a kid, we used to live in a little village, and there was only 90 kids in the whole school, so you'd have the year below and the year above, would be like 3 years worth of kids all mixed together, and we all used to knock about in each other's houses, and we'd have massive big epic games of Monopoly that would go on for weeks, and just be going round to James's house or whoever's house each night, and playing Monopoly again, and the board would stay out until it was done. So I played a lot of Monopoly. And then obviously there was Space Crusade and Space Hulk, which got me into this hobby. Idic Beer, how long have you had your beard for? Since my wedding. So I got married 12th of July last year. I'm meant to know that, aren't I? 12th of July last year. Yes, it was the 12th. And I've not had a shave since. I get my hair cut every 2 weeks. And my barber, when I go to him, cuts my hair and obviously everything, and he tidies all my beard up. And it wasn't even a case of, oh, everybody's got a beard these days, so therefore I need one. I've always hated shaving, but the job that I was doing required me to either have a proper beard or be clean shaven. You couldn't have that in between stretch, and it takes a week to grow a beard. It takes 2 weeks to grow a beard well enough to be able to cut it. My beard takes that long. So if ever I took 2 weeks off, which is a rarity, then I'd be somewhere where I needed to look smart for photographs anyway, because you'd be on holiday or whatever it might be. So I just never did it. And then when I left Jaguar last year and I was out of work, I've just not shaved it off again since. Maybe I will do. But apparently I look younger now that I've got a beard. So I don't want to. I don't want to lose my beard. It might be like Samson losing my powers if I get rid of my hair. Anyway, I digress for a change. Starring Phoenix, I have a question, same one I asked Nick. If there was no 40k, which fantasy army would you play? I already have started a fantasy army, Mick. It's Night Goblins. I think I've only mentioned it maybe once, twice in a couple of videos, so I wouldn't expect you to have known or remembered that. You will see a lot of Night Goblin stuff coming up over the next few months, especially with the impending release of 9th edition. See how that's going to affect me. And they're down here. So there's all my little Night Goblins. It's just a unit of 40 alone. There's another unit of 60 to build, and then I've got all those squigs to build as well. I will say at this point, I will put my begging shoes on again, my begging hat on. If anybody has any fine cast squigs that they do not want, please get in touch with me. I don't want metal ones. I don't like metal models. I don't like the way the paint goes on it, and I know that's not normal. Most people prefer the metal, but I quite like the fine cast. I'd prefer they were plastic, but they don't make them yet, so I need lots of squigs. So if anybody can help me out, then give me a shout and hook me up. 33 Claydog, how could you possibly like Back to the Future? I mean, really, come on, man. Clay, I don't know what you're on about. How Michael J. Fox did not win an Oscar for his... I can't keep a straight face, mate. Yeah, the films aren't great. 2 and 3 we're not going to talk about because, well, we're just not. But Back to the Future 1 came out in 1985, December 1985, I think it was released. It was a Christmas movie that it came out for. But as a result, it was the biggest box office movie of 1986. Second place to it was Top Gun. Now, Top Gun was a much better movie, but second place to Back to the Future. And I was 7 in 1986, so at 7 years of age, and I saw Back to the Future on the cinema with my dad and my brother. And everything from what I thought was a sports car, okay, it's only a DeLorean, but at 7 years of age, it looked like a sports car. It was a time machine. He went back in time. He played the guitar. He was a bit rebellious, although actually, ultimately, he's a dick. it just appealed to me, and it's still, I suppose, this day and age, it's the nostalgia back to my youth. I know the film's no good, and I know Michael J. Fox is an awful actor, but yeah, it's a nostalgic thing for me. And I know, Clay, secretly, somewhere in your heart, you love it. You love it. No, you don't. I know you don't. We Green Stunties, how many animosity tests do you think you will fail with your goblins on turn 1? All of them. I hope I fail all of them. I am building a Night Goblin army purely for the fun. It goes against all my gaming brain. I am putting far too much chance into things going wrong. As I've said on a previous video, I don't take plasma on my Marines because on a 1 I can hurt myself. So I'm doing a whole army that can just kill itself as easily as it can kill its enemy. The Squig Lobber, I'm much more likely to end up killing my own units than I am killing anyone else. The Fanatics, everything about this army is just going to be hilarious. And when I play my first game, I've promised Nick Davies photography. Nick's one of the guys who goes to my club. He's a fantasy player. He's got a few different armies, but he's building a dwarf army up at the moment. And I've promised him that once my army is built, not painted, but built, my very first fantasy game, I'm going to play against him. I'm going to let him teach me. So I will either record the game, but I doubt it because I won't know what I'm doing. But I'll take notes and maybe some photographs on the way through, and I will put some sort of 8th edition hilarious fantasy bat rep off. Just see what happens with it. And that kind of goes to that. And that's it, guys, for the questions. I don't know about you. I don't know how long this video's gone on for. Probably an hour. But I've enjoyed it. I have no problem talking though. As you all know, I like to chat. If you like it and you want another one, then let me know in the comments. If you like it but don't want another one, let me know that. If you didn't like it and definitely don't want another one, let me know. I'll keep doing these as long as you keep asking the questions. Do we need them weekly? Do you want them monthly? I'm going to do one next week, unless the response to this video is awful. And I'm going to try to do a live one next week. So it will probably be 9 o'clock British time next Tuesday evening. Because Tuesdays works better for me, because where I thought about doing it on Wednesdays, my wife goes on maternity leave in 2 weeks, so it's just going to screw me over. Tuesday evenings, everybody's asleep and I'm in the house. So let's do it Tuesday evening. I'll set up a live Google thing. You can either drop into the Hangout and drop back out and ask questions that way. You can hang around for a bit longer if you want. I don't know how many spaces they have on these things. Or you can just type questions onto this video. You can type them live next week. But please try and tune in for it next week. See what the response is. If I get the good response, as I said at the beginning, we might start inviting some guests along to ask questions to them. And you'd know in advance who that's going to be. Yeah, I like them. And if you guys like them, then yeah, fine. There's going to be a lot of content over the next few days. Quite a few videos that I'll be recording today and tomorrow to get out over the next few days. And generally, yeah, just let me know what you think, as always. If you haven't already, then subscribe. If you've managed to watch all of this video, then I doff my hat to you. Thank you very much. And if not, if you've only watched parts of it, then I thank you for that as well. And yeah, that's it, guys. I shall see you next week. Well, I'll say there'll be videos before that, but next one of these next week, so get some more questions to me. See you later, guys.